This is BullionMax. I'm Mark Allen, and we are once again going to spend some time with the customer service manager for BullionMax, Sean Reynolds. Sean, nice to see you. Let's talk about something. Goldman Sachs has, as we said in a previous episode, has recommended gold as a buy. So let's tell us a little bit about what people should expect in buying gold right now.
Well, there are a lot of different choices that are available when you purchase gold. You can purchase bars. You can purchase coins. There are also things that are called rounds, which are pretty much the same as a bar. They just happen to be round like a coin, but they're not necessarily a coin. But I think it may be kind of fun today to talk about kind of the first modern gold coin.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's take a look at that. Let me ask, what is or was the first modern gold coin?
Okay, now the key word there is going to be modern. We're not talking about pieces of 8 or doubloons or anything like that. When I say modern, I'm talking about something post 1930s.
Okay, so it's not gold doubloons from Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, no Spanish ships that were sunken and you're diving and no. Now those things do exist, but that's not what we're gonna talk about today. So I think maybe what we'll do is we'll talk about when the world was on the gold standard, right? Mm-hmm. And so the gold price had to be fixed. Otherwise, you'd see things like the U.S. minting like a $25 coin, but it was actually worth $30. So back in the olden days of the gold standard, let's say you're a gold miner, you're a prospector, right? You're San Francisco 49er.
I can see Sean and his mule walking through the desert right now.
My pickaxe, yes, yeah. Absolutely. My pans.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's say I find some gold. Yippee, there's gold in them hills. Okay, well, what do you do with it, right? Well, you would take the gold to an assayer, and they would check its purity, which is one of the things assayers do. They're always going to let you know, how pure is this? And then you send it to, well, guess who?
I really don't know. I mean, the local pharmacist. I have no idea.
Yeah, or a dentist. He's going to use
dentist, right? Put it in my.
No. It goes to the government. Okay, so it goes to the U.S. Mint specifically. So what they would do is they would take this gold from the prospectors and they turn it into money. And so you take the actual gold to the mint, and they would give you back in return that amount in gold coins. So the dollar value is stamped on the coin, and that was a reference as to how much gold was inside it. So that's how they knew what they got paid.
But you also just said that coin could be worth more than the face value of the coin.
But yes, before the gold standard was in place, you're absolutely correct. That could happen.
Okay.
But then, when the Nixon administration took us off the gold standard, then the dollar's value and gold's value were no longer the same thing. They were completely different. Now, you can always print more dollars, and we talk about this a lot these days, yes. Right? About us constantly printing more dollars and those dollars being worth less, all of that. But what does gold's price do, though?
I can't answer that.
It goes up. Anyway, all that happened, and the world just didn't care about gold anymore. It was all about the dollars. Okay? But South Africa, being one of the world's largest gold mining nations, they wanted to sell gold, obviously, and they had a great idea. They wanted to bring back the gold coin. What do you think of that?
I think it's a great idea.
Now, have you seen the old gold from the United States that we were talking about?
I've seen,
1933, the Walking Liberties, all of that. Striking, stunning. So how we didn't care about gold coins for the longest time is beyond me. It's just It's strange. But they found there was kind of a flaw in that system, which was to print some type of value on it. And so rather than do that, like you'll see the American Eagle's got $50 on it. You'll see some other coins have $100, $200 on it. Well, God help us if the coin's ever worth that much. But
I mean, that little.
Yeah, that little. Yes, that value is not a good value. Okay?
Right.
You spent $1,800 for it, and now it's only worth $50. No,
that's not going to happen. We've talked about that.
But we get that question from time to time from concerned folks who say, "How come it says $50 on it?" It's the old, there's no reason for it. It's just our policy. It's almost the answer on that. But what is interesting about the Krugerrand is when you take a Krugerrand to a bank in South Africa, it doesn't show any face value. It just says what the content of gold is. But the coin itself is worth whatever the market value is for that weight of metal.
And on that specific day.
Yes.
On that specific day.
Moving every minute as the market can. So it's the only coin that does that. Only bullion coin that does that.
So you walk into a bank in South Africa with a Krugerrand, and it's I don't know what the exchange rate from dollars to rand is.
Yes, correct. Good for you, rand. Yes,
right. When I was in South Africa a number of years ago, it was over 10 to 1. So a meal that would cost me $80 here was 8 rand there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was amazing. But so you walk in with that gold Krugerrand today, give it to the cashier, and they hand you dollars or rands in this case?
Whatever it is you have, but it would be equal to the market value of the metal in the coin. And they're fractional Krugerrand as well, but the 1 ounce, again, is the most common that you'd see. And so they've been around since 1967. So they experienced their 50th anniversary a few years ago. There's now a silver version of it that came out with that anniversary. Those had special inaugural year packaging and all of that. But now silver Krugerrand are kind of a standard, and they're priced very similarly to maple leafs and kangaroos and things of that nature. So they're very competitively priced, but
and we should point out that when you mentioned these different coin names like the Krugerrand, the kangaroo, these are from different parts of the world, different countries.
Yes, different mints from different countries, absolutely. But the from South Africa, the Krugerrand is what you get.
Does the U.S. Mint still mint gold coins?
Oh, sure. They do the eagles, and then as far as a pure gold coin, they do the buffalo, but they've also had commemorative coins through the years. Now, when we talk about the Nixon administration and that change to take us off the gold standard, when we started making gold coins, we started in 1986. So we were a good 20 years after the Krugerrand was introduced to almost 20 years to start minting our own gold coins in the United States again, after having stopped after 1933.
And that's what I was going to ask next, because we had the old gold coins that are collector's items now, from the 20s, the 30s, and before, and then we stopped and brought it back. When? What year was that brought back?
86. So it was the Nixon administration taking us off the gold standard that kicked that off. So then we were back in a situation where the dollar value that was on the coin was not necessarily what the value of the coin was anymore.
Going to BullionMax.com has there's a lot of information, and the customer service, of course, is extraordinary at BullionMax. so that people who are interested can learn about all these different facets, the history, the value, the art at BullionMax. And of course, they can always call and learn even more.
Absolutely. Anyone can visit the site at any time. Of course, it's 24/7. But also when we're open, if people have questions, it's not like we're just here when you're going to buy. We're here to help you understand what's out there, so you can decide what purchases will fit with your goals. If you want to purchase gold, for example, well, what's your budget? What are you comfortable with? Do you want full ounces? Do you want fractional gold? Do you want something that's more barterable? One of the things we talk about with folks from time to time is, when all what breaks loose, and we are using metals to purchase things. Well, who's going to make change for you if all you have is 1 ounce gold bars? Okay, I don't know how that works. We're not there, but it is something that's helpful to consider. So those fractionals are important, and that also makes silver important to have smaller denominations of barterable or tradable or your money, so to speak, if that's how you're paying for things in the future. But
I had a thought. You bring a gold bar into a market, and you take like a carrot peeler and you peel off little slivers to shave it off, right?
Believe it or not, there is a gold bar that works that way. It's called a Valcambi combi bar, and it will snap off into individual grams of gold. And it's
fascinating.
They come in different sizes, but kind of the standard is 50 gram, and it comes in like a credit card protective case that you can put it in, and it's about the right size to put in your wallet. So if you are using gold to kind of barter or think tour guides or things of that nature, it is a very flexible payment method when you're away from home, and people are more likely to want to see some type of precious metal for their service rather than, whatever the foreign exchanges of money wherever you came from. Kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
See, you invented it before you knew you invented it.
Boy.
It already exists, though. It's the combi bar from Valcambi. And those are not necessarily the type of value you want if you're investing, but I'll tell you what, you can't beat the value if that's how you're going to use it, is to break off little pieces. There's a convenience fee
of course
with it, but again, pure gold, easy to break off the pieces, all of that. So
I would be so nervous breaking that off.
Let's both.
Yeah,
I've worked in a vault before, and we were breaking apart those bars to create the 1 gram bars, and I don't think I've ever been so careful in my whole entire life to try to break each one off, make sure it's perfect, all of that. It's like it's just a gram, but I'm sweating like crazy to make sure I'm being fair.
I could see breaking it off and having little pieces, on the little slivers, if you will.
Well, you do. Eventually at the end of those sessions, whether you had little gloves on or whether you were, working with very clean hands, you would have little teeny tiny glistening shavings. It's like, oh, glitter. No. It's adult glitter is what that is.
Boy, that's big adult glitter. Once the South Africa came up with the Krugerrand, and the world had this brand new coin, how did the rest of the world respond?
It was like the shot heard around the world to have a gold coin available again. And I think most of the world probably forgot that it was even possible to have a gold coin until they saw the Krugerrand, and it just took off like a firestorm. And so it got people looking at currency differently. They started looking at our own American coins, that, the old stuff. Now it's called junk silver. There's nothing junk about it. It's 90% silver, but that's just the terminology for it. So I remember even as a kid being excited about finding dimes, knowing that 90% of that was silver. And so people really started to like that idea of owning gold. But then you get into the whole bit about it's from South Africa, and you had a whole political storm around that, and people wanted the gold, but I just can't get the stuff from South Africa because I don't believe in that.
Sure.
I can't support it, the apartheid, all of that. And so when that happened, then the Canadian Mint started to create gold coins. And so the Maple Leaf is the second of the modern day bullion gold coins. And they decided, as opposed to having something that is an alloy or not 100% gold, they actually made pure gold coins. So they did want to differentiate themselves from the Krugerrand a little bit. But kind of the Krugerrand had a monopoly going, but then for some reason, for those political reasons, people just didn't necessarily want to purchase those.
Sure. So the Canadian Mint stepped in. I mean, Yukon Gold.
Yes.
And it's not a potato.
Sounds good. Absolutely. So when people started getting this interest in holding gold again, but then there was kind of that block, then, obviously we found an interest in cranking it up and creating those coins shortly after Canada did. Again, 1986, we got into the mix with the Eagles, and then commemoratives, and then the Buffalo in 2008. And that kind of all of that history of the modern bullion coin goes back to the Krugerrand. And what's interesting is nothing else looks quite like a Krugerrand. Have you seen them? They've got kind of a rosy glow to them. Okay. It's because they're not a pure gold coin, and the other metal that's in there is copper. And so the copper and the gold combined creates that interesting Krugerrand color. So you'd almost think if something were like a gold, you'd kind of be suspicious as to whether or not it's like real, because it doesn't have that rose gold look to it.
Interesting. And what about white gold? That just popped into my head.
Yes, white gold is... I'm not sure if you can get anything more pure than 14 or 16 carats. There's a lot of other metal going on in there. Since gold is naturally that golden color, you've got a bunch of other things in there that are making it the white color. But it's funny. My personal introduction to Krugerrands was from watching Lethal Weapon 2. and the villain, who was of Dutch descent, though South African, he had a suitcase full of them, and they were drug smugglers, and that's how they were laundering money. And I remember him talking about, you cannot do anything to me. I have diplomatic immunity, or whatever his accent was. But from that time, it's like, I want to own Krugerrand. That's the coolest doggone thing. Even though it's what the villains are using, that's what I want now. Now that I've seen that.
And at the time, there weren't a lot of options. And then the Canadian and the American Mint, they both started producing, and then I guess other countries throughout the world also started, because they realized the desire, the need for gold.
Absolutely. And there is no shortage of these coins, pretty much from the modern mints around the world. If they're making a silver bullion coin, they're probably also making a gold coin as well. And also probably kicking it off with whatever the 1 ounce silver coin is. They probably have a 1 ounce gold version of that too. And but it is kind of funny, because you're going to look at each one now after we've talked about it and see what they claim the dollar value is.
And that's interesting, because the price of gold at the time was
about $3.75.
Wow.
An ounce. So yeah, you could stack them up at that kind of rate, and it's amazing. But the Krugerrand is kind of a cool looking coin, like many others. That having that that particular Springbok antelope on there is an interesting choice. I can't think of anything else that's kind of like it. But the second you see it, it's Krugerrand. It's
a lot of artwork. I mean, it's beautifully detailed, if I remember.
Yes, and what's interesting is it's engaging in behavior that's known as pronking. I had never heard that before, but it's leaping up in the air, almost kind of straight. Now, I don't know if it's doing that because it's doing a war dance, or it's trying to mate, or what the heck is going on there. Warning predators. It's the dance of joy. I don't know, but it's it's very iconic, very iconic. The second you see it, it's there. And it's fantastic. But I really like these, and I would say they're probably more common with our really big buyers.
Got it. And that would be the 1 ounce, a 1 ounce coin.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah. And the reason I say that is because they have among the lowest premium of any gold coin. Well, if you're looking to buy a lot of them, you might be able to get a couple of extra coins because you chose to buy Krugerrands and didn't choose to buy something else that carries a higher premium. So if you're buying, upwards of 40 or so, well, sometimes that $80 to $100 difference between coins for each coin starts to add up. And
sure.
So now it's the difference between holding more gold and not. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying what you like. If you don't like the Krugerrands, spend the money the way you want to. It's an approach for those who are like, I want to amass as many ounces as I want, and I want a coin. Chances are the Krugerrand is really what you ought to be looking at.
And the Krugerrand being the first gold modern coin, as I understand it, right?
And through the years, they're still in circulation. They're still out there, and so there may be some collectability for a 1974 Krugerrand just because it's been out there that long. I'm sure they have different mintages, just like any other coin, and some are more rare than others. But I think it's amazing to see something with that kind of history. I collected pennies when I was a kid and got so excited to find a wheatback. Okay, well, you can go at least that far back in years for a Krugerrand between one way back when in 1967 and one today. I mean, that's a more than a 50-year span now. And never mind how old I am. But yes, wheatbacks weren't that far old, when I was collecting them. So
with the Krugerrand, there's the 1 ounce that I think everybody is familiar with, but there are fractionals.
Yeah, there are fractionals as well. They're not nearly as common, but they also can have those lower premiums like the full size. I don't believe, as we're recording this, we have Krugerrand fractionals in the shop right now, but I would not be shocked to see them soon with all the other 22s that are coming in.
Who's buying the Krugerrands today?
I think it's people who are buying it in quantity, and sometimes people who are looking at things like Eagles, Maple Leafs, Philharmonics, Britannias, things of that nature. They're in that similar price category, but some people they just like the Krugerrand. When they're buying a bunch of them, it's dollars to donuts. They're buying a Krugerrand, a Maple, or an Eagle, in my experience.
And again, it has a long history. I mean, 60 plus years now. Well, wait a second. Am I right about that?
No, since 67. So. But it's like 55.
I was close.
Years this year, yeah, close 60-ish. Can we ish that?
Yeah, we can ish that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this edition of the program, I've been asked to ask you
Yeah.
How many Krugerrands do you personally own?
No comment.
Sean, thank you very much for spending some time and shedding the light on gold and the other precious metals that BullionMax carries. As we've said in the past, the store, if you will, changes almost daily, right? And you should check back. You can find fractionals, you can find rounds, coins, precious metals of all kinds. And some of you might be wanting to invest because it's a hedge against inflation. Some of you might want to just own artwork that will also tend to appreciate in value, as we have said on the program before. Well, that wraps up this edition of BullionMax. I'm Mark Allen for Sean Reynolds. We'll see you next time.